Hi, it's Erin here, and over here is my audience. Wave to the camera, guys. Okay, and this is my informational speech. Have you ever heard the cases of communism versus democracy from the Cold War and the Vietnam War? Do you enjoy having freedom to vote for your nation's leaders under a democracy? Has your class of members discussed the controlling nature of communism, where it was made out of something evil and corrupt? Communism and democracy are two systems of government. They have been around for decades, with democracy having been invented long before communism, and citizens and leaders of many nations have waged war over which governing system is superior and more efficient. However, there are some aspects about the two, particularly communism, that most people don't entirely understand, or sometimes forget. There is more to the two than what we know. Communism and democracy, though they are both systems of government, have similarities and differences according to how each one controls the nation. Communism is a form of socialism and was first founded in the mid-19th century by German economist and philosopher Karl Marx, who believed in a classless, stateless form of government where everyone will have equal access to consumption and the government owns all the property. Other notable communist leaders include sorry. Ho Chi Minh, who formed China's modern communist government, Fidel Castro, who became the leader of Cuba after overthrowing Fulgencio Batista, and Joseph Stalin, who was the dictator of Russia and one of the big three during World War II, along with U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. The basic beliefs of running a communist nation include public ownership, government control, and the stamping out of any social class and structure in order to achieve a society in which everyone gets an equal amount of what the nation has to offer. In a communist society, the government is in control of every business and all areas of property. No businesses are privately owned, and the country is under the control of a single communist party. Some advantages of communism are that, in the words of Keith Miller of Future Working, it works effectively as a central planned economy. It can transform the shape of an economy to the vision of the leader, and that it creates strong social communities. A few advantages include tight control of everything by the government, the lack of freedom of speech, and that money cannot be saved by individuals. Communism was once widespread in many nations, including Russia, in what was formerly known as the Soviet Union, but today there are only a handful of communist nations: Cuba, China, North Korea, Laos, and Vietnam. Democracy has existed for a very long time, longer than communism, having first been recognized by ancient Greece by the philosopher Cleisthenes from the Greek word demokratia, meaning the people's rule as a form of government. Since then, this idea of a government has been greatly widespread. The founding fathers of the United States adopted the first modern democracy in 1788. Germany, which was once under the dictatorship of Adolf Hitler, formed a democracy in 1949. The basic ideas of a democratic society are that the nation's people have the right to vote, own property, and have an equal say and opinion in how the country is run. However, the people have as much rights and freedom as the government. A democratic nation is usually run by a single president, who is voted into office by the citizens of their country. In short, a democracy is highly dependent on the citizens' opinions. Some advantages of a democratic government are that it grows economically faster than other forms of government, it encourages equality in a positive light, and in Miller's words, it will give people a chance to become personally involved with their government. Some disadvantages are encourages a mob rule, the structure is dependent on the will of the majority, and the fact that democracy isn't effective unless voters are educated on decisions of the government. Sorry about that. With 5 countries being communist, the majority of today's nations, including the United States, South Korea, India, Germany, Netherlands, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, etc., are under a communist government. Democratic government. Communism and democracy have several similarities and differences. The biggest similarity is that they're both ways of controlling a government. They also have ideas of equality and express them in their own ways. However, there are several differences. According to Diffin.com, in the economic sphere, communism calls for the government to take control of all the capital industry in the country in an effort to get rid of economic inequality. On the other hand, a democracy respects individuals' rights to own property and means of production. Also, a president in a democracy is allowed their place only for a certain amount of time, unless it is time for another to be elected, while in communist countries, leaders, unless something happens to them, can be allowed leadership their whole lifespan. So it's a little like monarchy actually. So as you can see, there's more to communism and democracy than what most people know. Rather than just the whole democracy good, communism bad cliche you may have heard before. Each one has its own ideas of how countries should be run, with similar ideas on equality and freedom, but handling them in notably different ways. No side is actually wrong, no matter how each supporter views their opponent's system. Democracy and communism are, in the end, just two ideas of the same type of world. In my opinion, what's most important is that if we are able to put aside our differences and respect each other's views of a perfect world, that vision we have just might become a reality. Okay, and that's it. Thanks for listening, and once again, my audience. Wait to camera, guys. And bye.